Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the comparison of the Redmi Note 5 Pro with the new Zenfone Max Pro 6GB variant. And this new 6GB variant has a new camera sensor. So I'll also be testing the camera comparison, and yes, in the later part of the video, there are a lot of camera samples side by side and even videos so that you can judge which is doing a better job in terms of camera. But I just wanted to quickly give you an overall comparison. And in terms of specs, I would say both of these devices are actually really good. Both of them actually have the same processor, that is the Snapdragon 636 SoC. Hence, it's very fluid on both the device. You will not notice any lagginess or anything while using this device. So no problems in that. I would say in that aspect, I would say both of them are sort of equal. Now let's move to other practical things. That is the actual speaker on these devices. Both of them are having a single speaker here at the bottom, and both are actually adequately loud, actually pretty loud for a single speaker setup. But what I noticed is that when I keep the volume level at the max on the Redmi Note 5 Pro, it's slightly tinny and shrill, whereas that's not the case with the Zenfone Max Pro. But now let's move to the headphone jack. If you listen to a lot of music, I would say here I like the music output by the Zenfone Max Pro. It definitely had a little bit more depth compared to the Redmi Note 5 Pro. But yeah, the Redmi Note 5 Pro also has different profile settings inside the settings. So there you can tweak the sound. But with the Zenfone Max Pro, out of the box, when I tested it with various headphones, the output was good and it had depth in the music. Now moving to another thing, and this is sort of important because the original Zenfone Max Pro, when I reviewed it, I always complained about the fingerprint scanner, but on this new 6GB variant, I think so they have solved it. As you can see, the fingerprint scanner is blazingly fast. You don't have to worry about it. It's a fast fingerprint scanner on this one. And again, even on Redmi Note 5 Pro, the fingerprint scanner is actually really fast. I would say still, if you compare it side by side, the Redmi Note 5 Pro's fingerprint scanner is slightly faster, but again, now this is fast enough, as you can see. So yeah, that's regarding the fingerprint scanner. Now moving to another important thing, and that is regarding the user interface. Here again, it will be, I would say, personal preference. The Redmi Note 5 Pro comes with the Mi UI, which is used with almost every Xiaomi device. That's the same case even with this one. But the Zenfone Max Pro comes with almost stock-like Android experience, and many people actually prefer that. And due to that, it's actually very fast. As you can see, it looks like a Nexus device when you use it. You just swipe to get to the apps, and left you move to get the Google Now pane and stuff. So it's a lot more cleaner, I would say, in terms of user interface. User interface is a personal preference, but in terms of user interface, I would say I generally prefer closer to stock Android, so I would pick the Zenfone over here. Now moving to another thing is regarding screen brightness, and here the good thing is that both of them actually have a very bright screen. You don't have to worry in indoor lighting conditions, it's fine. And even in outdoor, I tested them both while keeping it on auto brightness, and both were bright enough to be visible even in outdoor lighting, that is in direct sunlight. But as I was taking a lot of camera sample shots with both these devices, what I noticed is that when I was using the camera on the Redmi Note 5 Pro, the screen became a lot more duller, and hence when I was framing the subject, it was not very clear on the screen. In fact, my wife was also helping me taking the photos, and she complained quite a bit, why is the screen dulling when I was using the camera? This might be a bug, but yeah, that is what I noticed. Whereas on the Zenfone Max Pro, I didn't have any problems. Even while using the camera, the display was very bright. Now moving to battery life, I would say both of these devices actually get very good battery life. But if I have to pick a winner between these two, obviously it's the Zenfone Max Pro, because this has a 5000 milliamp hour battery, whereas the Redmi Note 5 Pro has a 4000 milliamp hour battery. Don't get me wrong, even the Redmi Note 5 Pro's battery is actually very good. But yeah, this will get you slightly more battery life, about 1.5 to almost 1 to 1.5 hours extra of screen on time. Now moving to another important thing is that the Zenfone Max Pro actually has a dedicated micro SD card slot, which can be actually important, whereas we simply don't have that sort of functionality. No dedicated micro SD card slot with the Redmi Note 5 Pro. So if you are going to use two SIMs and you require storage more than 64 gigabytes, then it can be a problem. But that is actually not an issue with this Asus Zenfone Max Pro. And lastly, let's talk about the camera. So I decided to actually shoot a lot of samples side by side. So I'm just going to show you that so that you can decide which one is doing a better job. So as you can see, these pictures are side by side, and one thing I noticed immediately is that the colors are lighter, deeper and vibrant on the Redmi Note 5 Pro, but in terms of reality, the Zenfone is producing the realistic pictures. And this was in portrait mode with both the devices. This is difficult lighting conditions, and here the Zenfone lit up the face slightly better, but again both of them are very close to each other. And here again you'll notice that the color difference, the Redmi Note 5 Pro picture is a lot more warmer compared to the Zenfone. Here I enabled the portrait mode, and with the Zenfone you can adjust the background blur. As you can see, I blurred it a little bit more with the Zenfone. Here I'm just zooming up the same image, and to be frank, I would say both of them are doing a fabulous job in terms of edge detection in terms of portrait mode. Image of the sky, and in this picture actually both of them look very close to each other, but in this one the Redmi Note 5 Pro picture is more vibrant because of extra saturation. Here I've zoomed the picture 75%, and notice the clouds. It was a very overcast day, and in terms of color reproduction the Zenfone did a far better job. Here also you'll notice that the color difference between the two devices. In this picture you can clearly see that the Redmi Note 5 Pro is boosting the colors and saturation to make it look vibrant, whereas the Zenfone picture is closer to reality. Now moving indoors, and in this picture again, as you can see, the Redmi Note 5 Pro has that warm tint to the same, and this was taken in very low lighting conditions, and both the devices are sort of struggling. But if I have to pick one, the Zenfone did slightly better. Notice my face again in low lighting, and here also I feel the Zenfone did slightly better compared to the Redmi Note 5 Pro. And in this picture, surprisingly, I would say the Redmi Note 5 Pro did better. In this, both are actually doing a good job, and again I zoomed in 200%. You be a judge in this one. Which one do you think is better? Now shooting the video side by side, on the left I have the new Zenfone Max Pro, and on the right we have the Redmi Note 5 Pro, and I'm just going to walk around this area to give you an idea if the stabilization is there, and if so, how good is the stabilization. So as you can see, I'm walking around. Now with the front facing camera, again the situation is the same. Zenfone produces sort of natural looking colors, whereas the colors are a little bit boosted on the Redmi Note 5 Pro. Here is the same picture in the portrait mode. Again, one more picture, and this is in the portrait mode. In the portrait mode, I would say the bokeh effect is more pleasing with the Redmi Note 5 Pro. So that was regarding the camera performance. I would still say the front-facing camera performance was slightly better on the Redmi Note 5 Pro. And yes, obviously in video it has, electronic image stabilization. Hence, the video was a lot stable with the Redmi Note 5 Pro. But the Asus team had actually reached out to me, and they told me that there is a, photo update that is going to come out in the next couple of weeks, and that improves the camera quite a bit. So maybe after that update, some of the issues with the camera, the front-facing camera, which I felt was slightly weaker, might be fixed even on this one, but that we have to see. So overall, as you can see, and lastly, when it comes down to the pricing, here we see a huge difference. This 6GB variant of the Asus Zenfone Max Pro that comes with 6GB of RAM and 64GB of internal storage is sold for 14,000 rupees. Whereas if we look at the Redmi Note 5 6GB RAM variant that also comes with 64GB of internal storage is priced at 17,000. So definitely there is a price gap of 3,000 rupees. So I would say, yes, this is more affordable, I would say, definitely. And overall, if you look at the picture, I would say, considering both these devices are actually spectacular devices. I had used this Redmi Note 5 Pro earlier also, and this one, the earlier variant, I had used it, and both are actually very good devices. You can't go wrong with either of them because the processor is actually really good on both of them. That's the Snapdragon 636 processor. But overall, I would say if I have to pick one based on price to performance ratio, definitely overall picture, if you look at it, the Zenfone Max Pro goes slightly ahead. Anyways, guys, this was a quick comparison between the Redmi Note 5 Pro and the Asus Zenfone Max Pro 6GB variant. And guys, if you are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.